Cruise dining has changed a lot over the last few years, and many passengers don't realize it until they're already on board. Some cruise lines now charge extra for things that used to be included. The best dining reservations, those can disappear before the ship even sails. And if you don't understand how cruise dining works now, it's incredibly easy to waste money and end up frustrated halfway through your vacation, navigating crowded dining rooms, surprise entree charges, sold-out restaurants, and awkward dress code surprises. So in this video, we're going through the biggest cruise dining mistakes passengers are still making, and the small insider changes that will completely save your experience on board. Let's start with mistake number 1, assuming everything is included in your cruise fare. And honestly, a few years ago, that was mostly true. Back then, cruise dining felt unlimited. Multiple appetizers, extra desserts, different entrees. People ordered whatever looked good without thinking about extra charges. Now, that order whatever you want style of dining is slowly starting to change. To be fair, most dining is still included, but there are definitely more upcharges than there used to be. You might notice an extra charge for lobster tail, premium steaks, specialty seafood items, or upgraded appetizers. And at first, those charges don't seem like a big deal. Only $12. Only $5 more. But after several days on board, they add up fast. Some cruise lines, including Norwegian and Carnival, have experimented with extra entree charges beyond the first one or two in the main dining room. So what used to feel like an unlimited order whatever you want experience now comes with restrictions many passengers simply don't expect. The days of bottomless main courses are disappearing. And it's not just the main dining room where things vary. Every cruise line handles dining differently. Some include room service. Others charge delivery fees. Some drinks are included. Others aren't unless you have the right package. The reality is, cruise dining is no longer fully all-inclusive, and many passengers don't realize that until the bill shows up. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy the food. Cruising is actually one of the best times to try dishes you normally wouldn't order at home. Want 2 appetizers? Go for it. 2 desserts? Absolutely. Just ask your waiter if you're unsure about a specific menu item. The key is simply knowing what's actually included before those surprise charges start stacking up. Mistake number 2 is waiting too long to book your dining reservations. Some passengers don't realize the best restaurant reservations are already gone before they even step onto the ship, especially if you want those prime dinner times around 6:30 or 7 p.m. And the really popular specialty restaurants? Those disappear fast. On some ships, restaurants like teppanyaki, hibachi experiences, or certain steakhouse venues can sell out days, sometimes weeks, before embarkation day. So if you wait until you get on board thinking, "I'll figure it out later," you may end up stuck with whatever times nobody else wanted. Embarkation day can also become complete chaos because thousands of passengers are all trying to book the exact same restaurants at the exact same time. That's why booking your dining before you even set foot on the ship matters so much. Now, if you like flexibility, open dining is still great. But if you know you want the same dinner time every night and don't want to deal with waiting, traditional dining usually makes the entire cruise feel much easier. On most cruise lines, traditional dining usually gives you either an early seating around 5:30 or 6 p.m., or a later seating around 7:30 or 8:30 p.m. And as a bonus, you'll often have the same serving team every night, something many experienced cruisers prefer. And whatever dining style you choose, build in enough time. A full dinner in the main dining room typically takes around 90 minutes. Sometimes a little less, rarely much faster. If you have a show or activity afterward, plan around that from the start, because nothing feels worse than boarding the ship excited for dinner and realizing the restaurant you really wanted is already fully booked for the entire cruise. Coming in at number 3, not using the cruise app strategically. At this point, the app basically becomes your dining headquarters on board. That's where you preview menus, check restaurant wait times, adjust reservations, join virtual queues, and make sure your dinner plans actually fit with the rest of your night. On some cruise lines, the app can even show live wait times or let you join virtual dining queues, which can save you from wandering around the ship trying to find an open table. Many passengers still underestimate how important timing becomes on a cruise. That's why experienced cruisers usually plan dinner around shows and activities before the night even starts. Honestly, saving dessert for after the show instead of rushing through dinner is often the best strategy. If you do need to leave dinner earlier for an excursion, let your waiter know right away. Most of the time, they can actually speed things up for you, especially if you ask for expedited service early in the meal. And sometimes you just have to adapt. If the dining room is packed and your timing is tight, grabbing something quicker at the buffet or a casual restaurant can honestly save the evening. Cruise dining gets significantly easier once you stop improvising every meal. Moving on to number 4, and this one makes dining way more stressful than it needs to be: eating at peak times. You can almost predict when the dining chaos starts on a cruise ship. Most first-time cruisers naturally head to dinner at almost the exact same time every night, which means the buffet gets slammed right after shore excursions, while the dining rooms start filling up before the evening shows begin. Long lines, no tables, crowded food stations, everybody trying to eat all at once. And honestly, the main dining room isn't much different. If you're using open dining and show up right in the middle of peak dinner hours, there's a very good chance you'll be waiting with half the ship. That's why experienced cruisers usually shift their meals slightly earlier or slightly later. Even moving dinner by 30 or 45 minutes can completely change the experience. Shorter waits, less stress, better service, a quieter, more relaxed atmosphere overall. And this matters even more if you actually want to enjoy the people you're dining with. Shifting your meal time slightly means you avoid the loudest, most chaotic part of the evening, when the entire ship seems to be trying to eat at once. Sometimes, the smartest cruise dining strategy isn't choosing the best restaurant. It's choosing the best time to eat. Mistake number 5 is a massive missed opportunity: only using the main dining room for dinner. Most passengers completely overlook the main dining room during breakfast and lunch, which is actually where some of the most relaxing meals on the entire ship happen. This is also one of the easiest ways experienced cruisers avoid the buffet chaos everyone else deals with. Instead of fighting for a table at the buffet in the morning, imagine sitting down in a quieter dining room looking out at the ocean, maybe enjoying a coffee while breakfast is actually served to you. No searching for seats, no carrying trays around, no buffet crowds at 8 a.m. And the food is often much better than people expect. Fresh omelets, eggs Benedict, pancakes, specialty breakfast items most passengers completely miss because they never even check if the dining room is open. And sea-day lunches can be surprisingly good too. Many cruise lines now offer special brunches, pub-style lunches, or themed menus in the main dining room that feel way more relaxed than the buffet. And on some ships, you can actually have a relaxed sit-down lunch in 30 or 45 minutes, with better service, a quieter atmosphere, and far fewer crowds. Honestly, it's one of the best-kept dining secrets on the ship. Just keep in mind that lunch hours can vary depending on the cruise line and whether it's a sea day or a port day, so always check the daily schedule in the app. Because some of the best meals on the ship are the ones most passengers accidentally skip completely. Moving to number 6. A mistake passengers make all the time is not asking the server what's actually good that night. The servers know everything. They know which dishes passengers keep reordering, which entrees come back half untouched, and which menu items people complain about all week long. And that matters because not every dish is equally good every night. Some nights the steak is incredible, other nights, not so much. Meanwhile, there might be a soup, pasta, or seafood dish that the kitchen absolutely nails. And most passengers completely overlook it because they automatically order the same safe options every night. A truly unforgettable meal often comes from a waiter quietly saying, "The mushroom soup is the chef's specialty tonight. Get that." And usually, they're right. That's the kind of insider information most passengers never think to ask for. And here's the funny part. Even though servers are technically supposed to promote certain menu items, if you ask what people are actually enjoying, they'll usually tell you the truth. What's fresh, what's popular, what's worth skipping. And if you try something they recommend and don't like it, you can almost always order something else. That's one of the best parts of cruise dining. Some of the best meals on board come from listening to the crew who sees every single plate leaving the kitchen. Number 7 still catches passengers off guard, ignoring the dress code. Now, cruise dining isn't nearly as formal as it used to be, but there are still a few rules that can absolutely get you turned away from the restaurant. And trust me, you do not want to be the person awkwardly walking back to the cabin to change while everybody else gets seated. Believe it or not, that still happens. The confusing part is that every cruise line handles dress codes differently. Some cruise lines, like Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and Norwegian, tend to be much more relaxed overall. Others, like Celebrity or Holland America, are usually stricter during evening dining and in certain specialty restaurants. For example, some lines may still discourage shorts in the main dining room at night, while others barely care unless it's formal night. But there are a few things that almost always cause problems: pool wear, bathing suits, flip-flops, tank tops for men, cover-ups straight from the pool deck. That's usually where passengers get stopped. And specialty restaurants can be even stricter. Some still expect long pants or at least a collared shirt for men, especially in steakhouses or upscale venues. The good news is, cruise dress codes overall are much more relaxed now than they used to be. And yes, on most cruise lines, clean jeans are usually completely fine. Polos are usually fine. You definitely don't need to pack like it's a luxury gala every night. But bringing at least one decent dinner outfit can save you from a lot of unnecessary stress later in the cruise. Because nothing kills the mood faster than finally getting that hard-to-book reservation and realizing you're not dressed for it. Mistake number 8 is assuming specialty restaurants are either all worth it or all a waste of money. And honestly, neither is really true. Some specialty restaurants are fantastic, others just feel overpriced or more hype than experience. And that matters now because specialty dining prices have gone way up over the last few years. Depending on the cruise line, you could easily spend anywhere from $25 to well over $100 per person for dinner. And once drinks get added in, that total climbs fast. Now, with that said, some specialty restaurants really are worth the extra cost, especially for experiences the main dining room usually can't replicate well. High-end steakhouses, hibachi experiences, fresh sushi, or quieter date-night restaurants with much more personalized service. And for birthdays, anniversaries, or special occasions, that upgraded experience can absolutely feel worthwhile. But this is where passengers waste money, booking specialty dining every night instead of figuring out which restaurants are actually worth prioritizing. And one of the smartest ways to save money? Look at lunch specials. Many specialty restaurants offer cheaper lunch menus with almost the exact same experience for a much lower price. Another huge tip: pre-book before the cruise if possible. The onboard prices are often higher once the sailing starts, and in many cases, a similar meal at a restaurant back home would probably cost even more. So if there's one specialty restaurant you really want to try, book it early. Because enjoying specialty dining isn't really about spending more money, it's about spending it strategically. Coming in at number 9, and this can seriously affect your trip, is waiting too long to mention food restrictions. This goes way beyond just food allergies. Gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, kosher, dairy-free. Requests like these are far more common on cruises now than most passengers realize. That's why it's so important to note dietary restrictions before the cruise whenever possible, either during booking through your travel agent or directly in the cruise app. And once you get on board, don't stop there. Talk to the maitre d'. Talk to your server. On many cruises, the dining team can walk you through the menu, explain what's safe, and sometimes even modify certain dishes if they know ahead of time. For more serious allergies, guests may even be asked to pre-order meals a day early so the kitchen can prepare them safely. And here's something many first-time cruisers don't realize. Most cruise lines already have dedicated vegetarian, vegan, or gluten-free menus available. You usually just need to ask. Cruise lines can handle dietary restrictions surprisingly well, but only if they know about them early enough. And finally, coming in at number 10, one of the biggest dining mistakes passengers still make is waiting until they're already on board to figure everything out. By the time you step onto the ship, many of the best dining options, reservations, and table requests may already be limited, and this becomes an even bigger issue if you're traveling with a large group. Most passengers assume we're all together, so we'll obviously all sit together. But on busy sailings, that's not always how it works. Most passengers don't realize the biggest dining room tables usually only seat around 10 to 12 people. So instead of hoping for one massive table that may not even exist, it's often easier to split into smaller groups of 4, 6, or 8 ahead of time. That's why traditional dining can sometimes make life much easier for bigger groups, or honestly for anyone who just wants dinner to feel simpler and less stressful each night. Even once you're on board, there's still a short window to get ahead of the crowds. One smart move experienced cruisers make on embarkation day is checking exactly where their assigned dining table is located. Sometimes your assigned table ends up right beside a busy waiter station, a high-traffic walkway, or nowhere near the window you were hoping for. And if you want to change it, the best time to ask is that very first afternoon on board, ideally around 3 p.m., while the maitre d' is still taking table requests. The best dining experiences on board usually come from planning ahead, just enough to avoid the stress and chaos that catches most passengers off guard. Before we finish, here are a few quick cruise dining tricks that experienced cruisers use all the time, but most passengers never even think to ask for. First, don't assume the menu is the only thing you can order. Many dining rooms have simple off-menu items available if you ask. Fruit plates, cheese plates, extra sides, even custom combinations. And after several days of heavy cruise food, a fresh fruit plate or cheese plate at night suddenly feels like the greatest decision of your life. Another underrated move: order multiple appetizers instead of one giant entree. Many cruisers do this once they realize appetizers and desserts are still unlimited on most ships. And if you see 2 desserts you want, get both. Nobody on board is judging your life choices at that point. Here's another one most passengers completely overlook: the kids' menu. Sometimes the best desserts on the entire ship are hiding there. Ice cream sundaes, warm cookies, brownies, banana splits. And yes, adults can usually order from it too. And probably the biggest overall tip: don't be afraid to ask questions. Cruise dining is way more flexible than most passengers realize, and some of the best food on board comes from simply asking questions instead of assuming the menu is the final answer. So now I want to hear from you. What's one cruise dining tip you wish you knew before your first cruise? Let me know down in the comments. And if you're planning a cruise soon, check out some of the other videos on the channel. They'll help you avoid a lot of the mistakes passengers still make on board.